I thought it would be easier to be with Nichol if Shanann wasn't pregnant.
He was very mesmerized by her. He just said in his letters that had it not been for her and the power that she had over him, she pulled at him constantly, that his family would still be alive today.
HLN obtained never-before-seen evidence in this case, including photos of his mistress that he hid in a secret calculator app on his phone.
July 23rd, a Monday, started the same way most weekdays did during the 5 weeks Shanann and the kids were away. Shanann called him at the crack of dawn, catching him just before he went to work. Then the two had a 2-minute conversation. An interesting question, though, is where was Watts at 5:40 in the morning? Was he in their upstairs bedroom in their home at Saratoga Trail in Frederick, or did he quickly get up out of bed and leave the room so as not to disturb Nichol? Was he with her at her home? Or was he already in his vehicle, either on his way to work or on his way to Saratoga Trail, perhaps to change into his work clothes? Or did he have his work clothes with him at Nichol's place?
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. Welcome to the second episode in this ongoing series. Later, at 08:25, at work presumably, Watts transferred another image of Kessinger into his secret calculator app. What was this an image of? One that we've seen before or one that we haven't? If Nichol sent it and he immediately transferred the image to his secret calculator app, even though Shanann was out of town, well, perhaps it was a nude selfie taken in her bedroom or bathroom or coming out of the shower. Or perhaps it was something like this. I don't think nude photos are really that surprising, since the phone data review makes reference to nude photos that were shared about a week later on August 2nd. It's this sort of thing that would have completely clouded the married father's judgment and made him feel not only addicted but on Nichol's leash. She would be constantly on his mind and in his heart. According to the CBI report on page 5, it felt like she had a leash on him and she was able to tug him away from Shanann. After a busy work day at Anadarko, visiting some of those well sites, driving around in the dust, going from these diesel-smelling pumping jacks, going home. Probably after a shower and changing his clothes, Watts called Nichol Atkinson, Shanann's best friend, at 5:02. Why did Watts call Nichol? Was it to do another Thrive promo, as he had with Christina Meacham? Perhaps Shanann's call at the crack of dawn was to actually set up this call between her best friend, Nichol Atkinson, and her husband. It may also be that halfway into her extended absence in North Carolina, Shanann's instincts were starting to warn her that something was up. And so by getting Watts to call Nichol, she could make sure that he was being monitored in a way, indirectly. And also she could have Nichol could tell her if she picked up anything from him. Was he acting a little strange? Did he seem a little off to her? And perhaps give her a second opinion. Also, we know that just 5 days later, Shanann would explode at him in a text, "You're just out of it from playing." So clearly something was brewing in Shanann's mind, and she was trying to take steps to figure out what was going on. And of course, something was going on. And Shanann was just trying to find a way to get a better sense of control. And of course, Chris Watts was trying to avoid being entangled in all of this sort of thing. Now, before we get to the rest of this analysis, just a reminder that I've written quite a few books on this case. There's a 9-book series called Two-Face. And then there is a second series, a trilogy, the Silver Fox trilogy. I'll put a link to those in the description, as well as a link to the original blog post that this is derived from. You'll actually find links to all of those books in the right-hand margin of those blog posts. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please hit the thanks button and let's get started. Anyway, as soon as the call was done, Shanann called Watts again and spoke to him for 9 minutes. Take note, she initiated both calls that day. literally as soon as he was off the phone, he knew he was off the hook for the rest of the evening, and so he Googled clean eating restaurants near me. And you kind of get the sense that he was really urgently trying to make each evening special that he was spending with Nichol, including taking her out to restaurants, basically wining and dining her. Now, we dealt with diet in the previous episode, and I see quite a few people scoffed at the importance of food in the dynamic. And here you have Watts himself literally Googling not just for restaurants near me, but clean eating restaurants near me. Basically, he's looking for restaurants serving healthy food, right? He was really looking for restaurants he could take Kessinger to as well. Now, bear in mind also the schlep in the Watts household of always having to avoid certain foods that the kids were allergic to. And of course, one of the biggest dramas on the horizon, Nutgate, which was about food, was just around the corner. That was going to happen in August when Watts himself was in North Carolina. Now, by the evening, it was back to wining and healthy dining with Kessinger, probably having interesting conversation and sleeping over, probably having sex every night. And this pattern likely repeated over and over again over the next few days, doing the minimum to satisfy Shanann and then relishing his extramural time with Kessinger, trying to get the most in, doing the most for the rest of the night and early the next morning. Each night must have felt like a gift, a precious gift of time, and each night meant it was all closer to coming to an end. And the thought of that was becoming more and more difficult to bear. You know, when he'd go to work, Kessinger would be there, but he'd also have to keep his affair secret from his colleagues, and that already was starting to make him wonder, he was going to need a longer-term solution to what was going on. And I think he tried to avoid thinking about it in the beginning, but later he started wondering how to fix the situation. How could he arrange things so that he didn't lose this, because he didn't want to lose this. Well, I'm not going to take it further than that, but you'll notice in the footage that has been playing out in the background, that is footage that I actually took when I was in Frederick. And you kind of get a sense that, you know what, all of this isn't just a story. It's not just hypothetical. All of this really happened. And this is the stew, the meat and potatoes. This is the ingredients of an affair that ends up in catastrophe. How did it happen? How can we learn from this? Well, that's the point of the series. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.